Oh, that's absolutely. Nothing is instantaneous. It's fast, but not snapping the fingers fast.
And Your Honor, we are ready when you are.
Okay, and you've already given everyone instructions, so I know I have a few folks here with counsel. Who is first on our list?
Your Honor, first on is Miss Dubé with Mr. Durant's,
Okay, all right.
followed by Miss King.
Okay, all right.
Give me 1 second here.
We'll go
Would you like me to
ahead
put everybody in a breakout room so they can give the information?
Yes, if you can go ahead and move everyone into the breakout room other than, looks like Mr. Payne, Ms. Sanborn, Ms. King, and Ms. Dubé and Mr. Durant's. I think everybody else can move on off. And while you are moving those folks, I will go ahead and call Ms. Dubé's case. We'll go ahead and get started. This is file 21-0653. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
Peter Durant on behalf of Jennifer Dubé. She's appearing from my office via Zoom.
All right, thank you both. And Mr. Durant, have you had the opportunity to review the complaint with your client?
Yes, Your Honor. We'll waive a formal reading of the information. We will enter a plea of not guilty at this time.
All right, a plea of not guilty will be entered on behalf of Ms. Dubé. The matter will be set for a pretrial. That pretrial will be on the 13th of July at 9 a.m. And as far as bond, I don't believe there's been a bond posted at this point. Ms. Baumann, is there anything that people wish to address today as far as bond?
Yes, Your Honor, we ask that there's no contact with the victims or any assaultive behavior while on bond.
Okay, let me, oh, okay, I'm sorry, and there was a cash bond posted, so that my staff is getting me corrected. I just wanted to take a quick look at things here. Actually, no, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that there was a no contact order filed with the original paperwork. So I'm just,
I have not received a copy of any no contact order if one exists.
okay, yep.
I'm looking
I do
right
not
now, too.
have- Yeah, I do not have a no contact order, but we can work through that here in the process of setting bond. Mr. Durant, is there anything that you would wish to address on behalf of your client as far as bond today?
Yes, Your Honor. So my client has willingly began services at J&A, including color line testing for substances. At this time, that's completely voluntary, and we'll continue that on a completely voluntary basis. Seeing how this is not a substance abuse offense and the substances were not involved, nor is there any indication that substances are involved, we would ask that the only terms of the bond that be applied are a no contact order with no assaultive and or threatening behavior, and that she report to a pretrial services agent or directly to the district court. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Durant. And I've looked through the complaint, and I would agree with you. I don't have anything in here that indicates that there were any substances involved. So I don't have any reason as far as bond to apply any conditions as far as alcohol testing or monitoring or drug use or monitoring. She wishes to continue that on a voluntary basis. The court would encourage that. She did post a cash bond, so that bond will be continued. As far as pretrial services, she'll be assigned to pretrial services to attend any intake for assessment for counseling services, and those would be for counseling services for anger management or domestic violence counseling while she's on bond. While she's on bond, not to have any assaultive behavior, in particular, any assaultive behavior towards the victim in this matter, EW. There's not to be any contact with EW while on bond. No physical contact, phone calls, text messages, social media while on bond. And without having a no contact order here, Ms. Baumann, did the victim and the defendant share the same address?
Let me look real quick.
Your Honor, I can answer that. It was
Okay.
the complainant in this case was a foster child who was going through the adoption process, who was staying with them at the time of the incident. That child's since been removed from their address and doesn't share an address or any contact information with them.
Yep, that's what I
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Then yes, no contact. So there's not the only other condition of the bond would be then not to go to the address, whatever address where the alleged victim in this matter would be residing. So there's no reason for the defendant not to be in her own home.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Other than that, I think this matter can be adjourned for today. And we will see everyone back here on the 13th of July at 9 a.m. for the pretrial.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then Ms. Baumann, once your office drafts that no contact order, if you could just send that over with the rest of the discovery, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I'm taking a look here, and my guess is that Ms. King, Ms. Sanborn's file would be next. This would be file 21-0661. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
Thank you. Kimberly King, Gower Law, on behalf of Ms. Sanborn, who is appearing via Zoom.
All right, thank you. All right, so as far as the charges here today, Ms. King, have you had the opportunity to review the complaint and charges with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
All right, and do you wish to waive a formal reading of the charges today?
We do, Your Honor.
All right, and what plea will you be entering on behalf of your client today?
Not guilty.
A not guilty plea will be entered on behalf of Ms. Sanborn. This matter will be set for a probable cause conference on July 6th at 1 p.m. and a preliminary exam on July 13th at 3:15 p.m. As far as bond, it does appear as though she has posted a cash bond. Ms. Baumann, is there anything else the people wish to address today as far as bond?
Yes, Your Honor, we ask that she is on pretrial services and that she's not engaged in any illegal drug use or alcohol use while on bond.
All right, thank you. Ms. King?
Thank you, Judge. Just as far as a little bit of background, Ms. Sanborn was born here in Michigan. She did reside in Texas for a short period of time. However, she's been back in the state of Michigan for 8 years. Has substantial ties to the community. She does have 4 children. She's never failed to appear to court, doesn't have any aggressive, intimidating behavior, anything of that nature on her record. So we would ask that you continue her cash bond. In addition, she is requesting that she leave the state of Michigan from July 15th through July 20th. She is driving down to Texas to see one of her children.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that information. For Ms. Sanborn, she has appeared here today. She has retained counsel, so I have no reason why she would not appear for any future court dates. I think as long as she is under the supervision of pretrial services, I think that will be satisfactory. So the court will continue the cash bond. And while Ms. Sanborn, while you are on bond, there's not to be any alcohol or illegal drugs. You're not to be around anyone with alcohol or illegal drugs. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court, although the court will grant that permission for the time of July 15th through the 20th. Some leeway there also. I mean, travel right now, whether you're driving or flying, there can be some hiccups there. So if it takes you a little bit longer to get home, the court obviously will understand that. As long as you appear for all of your court hearings. And I do see maybe, and I guess we can address this because the preliminary exam is July 13th, but I guess we'll see how the probable cause conference goes on the 6th, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it as far as her vacation. You'll be under the supervision of Circuit Court Pretrial Services. At least one contact per month. You're to work with J&A counseling to set up a biopsychosocial assessment, and you'll be subject to random alcohol testing while you're on bond. Other than that, I think this matter can be adjourned for today. We'll see everybody back here on the 6th of July at 1 p.m. for the probable cause conference.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sanborn and Ms. King, you are free to leave the Zoom room this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Okay. And Mr. Bragel is here for Mr. Payne. All right. And this looks like file 21-0675. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
Morning, Judge Benjamin Bragel here on behalf of Mr. Payne.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Bragel, have you had the opportunity to review the charges and complaint with Mr. Payne?
I have, Judge. We waive a formal reading of the complaint and ask the court to enter a plea of not guilty on the record.
All right, thank you. The plea of not guilty will be entered on behalf of Mr. Payne. This matter will be set for a pretrial on the 13th of July at 9 a.m. Looks as though Mr. Payne did indeed post a cash bond. Ms. Baumann, is there anything else the people wish to request as far as bond for Mr. Payne?
Yes, Your Honor, given the charges that we have here today, we ask that the defendant is not engaging in any illegal drug use or alcohol use while on bond, and also that he be engaging in pretrial services while on bond.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bragel?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Payne, he's a 35-year-old resident of Bay County his entire life. He graduated high school, a bachelor's degree from Ferris. He works for a local chemical company. He does rent a home in Bay City. My information, he has zero criminal history. He's done his alcohol assessment at J&A Counseling. I have receipt of that on June 2nd. He is following the recommendations of J&A Counseling to do 10 one-on-one sessions, and he has 2 of them completed. He's also doing the voluntary random drug testing 3 times a month. So Mr. Payne is doing the things that the court would want him to do, and I know that he would sign a consent form to have that information transferred over to pretrial services. I ask that the court continue his interim bond, give him a personal recognizance bond in the matter.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Bragel. I think based upon the fact that Mr. Payne is here, he's retained counsel, and not only that, but has began a rather rigorous treatment program. I think that the court will at this time continue with the cash surety bond, so the bond that he posted will be continued. While he's on bond, not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, not to be around anyone with alcohol or illegal drugs. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You are to continue all of your treatment programs and your random testing while on bond. Those will be under the supervision of District Court Pretrial Services. We're not going to order anything more than it sounds like what you are doing, but they'll work in conjunction with what you are already have already begun. and continue those treatment services and testing while you're on bond. Otherwise, this matter can be adjourned. We'll see everybody back here on the 13th of July at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Bragle. Mr. Bragle, you had one other client scheduled for today is Jay Owens. Does he happen to be in your office?
He is not, Judge, and I tried calling him yesterday, and unfortunately, I was unable to get a hold of him. I would ask that he's not there, that the court set this matter for a show cause hearing of why he wasn't here.
Okay. Well, actually, what we could do, Mr. Bragle, I have Mr. Wilson here with his client. If you wish to mute for a moment, and Mr. Payne, you are free to leave the Zoom room. Thank you.
Thank you.
You could mute Mr. Bragle, try to get a hold of him one more time while I speak with Mr. Wilson and his client.
I will. Thank you.
Go from there. Okay. Thank you. All right. Good morning, Mr. Wilson.
Morning, sir.
All right. And looks like this is for Lawrence Townsend. This is file 21-0694. Council appearance for the record, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. James Branson, on behalf of City of Midland.
Morning, Your Honor. John Wilson on behalf of Mr. Townsend, who's seated to my left. We're appearing via Zoom from my office.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Wilson, as far as the charges here today, have you had the opportunity to review these charges with your client?
Yes, Your Honor, he's aware. We waive a reading.
All right. We will waive the formal reading of the charges. As far as the not guilty plea will be entered on behalf of your client. Oh, I apologize. I'm jumping ahead a step. As far as a plea today,
Stand mute,
Mr.
Your Honor.
Branson, I'm sorry.
He would stand mute, Your Honor.
Okay, a plea of not guilty will be entered on behalf of Mr. Townsend. This matter will be set for a pretrial on August 5th at 8:10 a.m. As far as bond, Mr. Branson, is there anything that people wish to address as far as bond?
This is a DWS first driving, Your Honor. We would leave it to the court. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and Mr. Wilson?
The personal recognizance bond makes sense, Your Honor.
I think personal recognizance bond is appropriate. Be a $500 personal recognizance bond. Mr. Wilson, no other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. Otherwise, this matter can be adjourned. We'll see everyone back here on the 5th of August at 8:10 a.m. for the pretrial.
Very good. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right. Okay. Any luck today, Mr. Bragle?
Sorry, Judge, the number that I was reaching out to went right to voicemail, but I see a Dan Dove is on the screen. Is that in fact your real name, sir? Dan Dove?
Daniel Dove, yes, sir.
Sorry, Judge, that's not my gentleman that I was looking for. Any chance that the court could check lockup to see if he's there?
Certainly. We'll go ahead and do that. Barbara or Teresa, could you just double check the jail roster, see if Mr. Owens happens to be there?
Okay.
Yes, I will check.
Bay.
Thank you.
What's Mr. Owens' first name?
That would be
Jay.
Jay.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, Mr. Owens is not in our jail.
All right, thank you. All right, well, here's what we're gonna do, Mr. Bregel. With the new statutes that went into place this year, I don't see any other incident in this file in particular that Mr. Owens has failed to appear for a court hearing. What we're going to do this morning is we're going to, since Mr. Owens has failed to appear at this time, the bond that he had will be revoked. There will be a bench warrant issued for failing to appear for arraignment. The bench warrant will not issue for 48 hours. So it'll be 48 hours from today's date and time. So if you can make contact with your client and contact the court, we'll schedule an arraignment as soon as possible. And it'll be a 2:30 time slot. If not, 48 hours from today's date and time, there'll be a bench warrant issued for failing to appear for arraignment. And the bond on that bench warrant will be a $5,000 cash surety bond. Other than that, I think this matter can be adjourned for the time being. Hopefully you'll have contact with him and we'll be able to contact that or conduct the arraignment in a short order.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. All right, I think that's all of your clients, Mr. Bregel. You are free to leave the Zoom room. Okay. I think now, I think Mr. Dove was the first to come back into the courtroom. So give me just a moment, Mr. Dove, to pull up your file.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dove, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halseal, Defense Counsel, this morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, and are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is file 21-0633. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Ballman on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ballman. All right, so let's see here, Mr. Dove. I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at your charges here today. All right, looks like this took place on or about the 13th of April on Patrick Road here in Midland County.
Yes,
Count one is commercial motor vehicle operating without proper vehicle endorsement. And proper vehicle group designation, I apologize. Did operate a commercial vehicle having a gross vehicle weight of 26,000 pounds or more without procuring the proper vehicle group designation on his operator's or chauffeur's license. That is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail and or a $100 fine. Let's see. Looks as though, Ms. Baumann, there's no offer in the file. Just a recommendation for fines and costs only.
That's correct.
All right. So, Mr. Dove, as to what has been charged today, did you wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to those charges?
Not guilty.
All right. A plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf, Mr. Dove.
Yes, sir.
This matter will be set for a pretrial. Do you plan on hiring an attorney or are you going to represent yourself, sir?
I'll represent myself, sir.
Okay. Your pretrial then will be on Tuesday, August 3rd at 8:15 a.m. As far as bond, give me just a moment. As far as bond, it'll be a $100 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. Do you understand all that, Mr. Duff?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll send you that notice for the pretrial. We'll see you back here on the 3rd of August.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Duff. Okay. And Mr. W., you are free to leave the Zoom room, sir. right. I don't see a Williamson in our courtroom, so I'm gonna call Mr. Green.
Good morning,
All
sir.
right. Good morning, Mr. Green. Did you, sir, have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey this morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you, are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, let's take a look here. It's file 21-0669. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Bauman on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bauman. All right, let's take a look at the charges here today. Looks like this took place on or about the 10th of October of 2020 on Stark Road here in Midland County. Count one is wildlife conservation, taking deer, bear, turkey, or wolf. Did violate Department of Natural Resource Order number WCO 3.100 parens 5 regarding the taking or possession of deer by taking or attempting to take a deer over bait. That is a misdemeanor, punishable by not more than 90 days in jail and a fine of not less than $200 or more than $1,000. The cost of prosecution shall be ordered restitution to the state for the value of the animal. For a deer, it would be a $1,000 per deer, additional $1,000 for an antlered white-tailed deer plus $500 for each point for a deer with at least 8 points, but not more than 10 points. $750 for each point for a deer with 11 or more points. And there would be, shall not secure or possess any kind of hunting license for the year of the conviction and the following 3 calendar years for an antlered white-tailed deer. Or bear, no hunting license for an additional 2 calendar years for a second or subsequent offense. An additional 7 calendar years. So as to the charge today, Mr. Green, did you wish today to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to that charge?
Guilty, sir.
All right. Now, Mr. Green, in order to plead guilty, you do understand that you waive the right to remain silent. You waive the right to have a trial, to call witnesses on your behalf and cross-examine witnesses. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
All right. In order to accept a guilty plea, I do have to have you sworn in. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand for me. Swear and affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth for everything brought before this court today?
Yes, I do.
All right. So, Mr. Green, on or about October 10th of last year, were you on Stark Road? Did you have bait out there for the purpose of taking a deer or actually taking a deer over that bait?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I did not take a deer, but I did have bait out when I was deer hunting.
Okay, so the bait was out there for the purpose of taking a deer, but you did not actually take a deer.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. All right, Ms. Bauman, are you satisfied with that factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor. And may I just note what the prosecutor's office is offering?
Absolutely.
We're offering here today a delay to dismissal of 6 months, and we have no objection to non-reporting probation as to a sentence.
Okay. All right. So what that means, Mr. Green, is as far as your sentence today, the court will sentence you to this, but after 6 months, if there's no other charges in that 6 months time, this will be dismissed by the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
Make sense to you?
Yes, sir. I have one question if I could ask. Just so I'm clear, then during that probation period, if I don't do anything wrong, am I allowed to deer hunt this year?
Well, according to, if there would be a dismissal of the charges, 6 months from today, that would put us actually into December. So I think you would not be eligible for firearm season because the conviction would still be on your record. You would have the last week or so of December for is either bow. I think it's bow season at that point. But once the dismissal would enter, you'd have because I think as just checking the statute here is you'd have no hunting license for 3 calendar years. But if once it's dismissed 6 months from now, you'd have that ability for the rest of this year plus 2022, 2023, which if you didn't have that dismissal, you would not be eligible to hunt for the next 3 years. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So knowing that, and I apologize for skipping over what the prosecutor's offer would be. Do you wish to continue with your guilty plea today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. As far as the sentence today then, and I appreciate that information, Ms. Baumann, is there anything else that people wish to request as far as the sentence for Mr. Green?
What I have in my notes is that our office doesn't have any objection to a non-reporting probation during this time.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Green, going forward, if you continue to hunt, and it sounds as though you would like to be able to do so, going to change the baiting practices?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So what the court will sentence you today, it's going to be fines and costs only. It will be a $75 crime victim fee, $50 state assessment fee, a $200 fine, and $100 in court costs. That is $350, $425. Is that, and there may be an additional $10 to that actually for the DNR. So it'd be a $435 total. Is that something you're able to pay today, or you're going to need some time for that?
I can pay that today.
Okay. In addition to that, we'll put you on a term of non-reporting probation for 6 months. The only terms of that are no other crimes while you're on probation. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court. And then after 6 months, if there are no other crimes during that 6 months, then this matter will be dismissed.
Okay.
Okay, so if you, the $435, if you just contact the court this morning, make that payment, and this matter will be, as far as the payment will be resolved, keep your record clear for 6 months, and this charge will be dismissed, and you'll be able to hunt sooner than 3 years.
Okay, so the date I can actually hunt then is December.
Today is the 23rd of June, so you would be able to hunt on the 23rd of December.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Baumann.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, see a few other people are joining us. Let me just check my smaller screen here. And Mr. Green, you are free to leave the Zoom room this morning.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, I think it was Mr. Putnam that was next. So good morning, Mr. Putnam.
Good morning.
All right, did you have a chance to meet with Mr. Houseel this morning?
Yes,
Okay. And did you wish to proceed with the arraignment today?
I do.
All right. This is file 21-0659. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Baumann. Let me take a look at what we have here for you, Mr. Putnam. All right. Looks like this occurred on or about the 19th of May. Would have been on Indian Street here in the city of Midland. Count one is motor vehicle operation without security. It being the owner of a 7 Chevy Avalanche, a motor vehicle with respect to which security is required. Operate that vehicle upon Indian Street, a public highway in the state of Michigan, without having in full force and effect security complying with the above cited statute. Now, that is a misdemeanor, punishable by not more than a year in jail, fine of not less than $200 nor more than $500. Now, let's see here. Looks like Ms. Baumann says admit responsibility to the civil infraction for no proof of insurance. If he has valid proof of insurance, there also may be an issue of restitution.
That is correct. We don't have the restitution papers in back yet. We have a rough idea, but not enough for us to go forward today. But if he does get his insurance valid and he has proof of that, then and he pays restitution, we would be happy to allow him to admit responsibility to a citation for no insurance.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Putnam, what Ms. Baumann is saying today, you were charged with a misdemeanor offense for no insurance on the date of, it sounds like this was a traffic crash. What the court's going to do today, because we cannot move forward until we've determined what amount of restitution is being asked for, if any, we're going to enter with a not guilty plea on your behalf today, and we're going to set this matter for a pretrial. Okay. And the pretrial, will be, well, the first question I have for you, do you plan on hiring an attorney, or are you going to continue to represent yourself?
Represent myself.
Okay. What we'll do is we're going to set this matter for a pretrial. That pretrial will be on the 3rd of August at 8:15 a.m. Okay. What the offer from the prosecutor's office is that if you at that time have a proof of insurance, if you can provide that proof of insurance to the court and to the prosecutor's office, they would dismiss the misdemeanor charge, and you would have the ability to admit responsibility to a civil infraction. But you also would have an issue if there was a request for restitution. We would address that at the pretrial as well. Do you understand all of that?
I understand that, yes.
Okay. What you can do in the meantime, if you have proof of insurance, is supply that to the court, and we could share that with the prosecutor's office for the purpose of that pretrial. As far as your pretrial, in the interim, your bond will be set at a $100 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. We'll see you back here on the 3rd of August at 8:15 a.m. for your pretrial.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Putnam.
sir.
You're welcome. You are free to leave the Zoom room, sir.
Have a good day.
You as well. All right. I think Mr. Luna was next.
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Luna. Mr. Luna, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey this morning, defense counsel?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Okay. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes.
All right. This is file 21-0636. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
James Branson on behalf of the City of Midland.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Branson. All right. Let's take a look here. Mr. Luna. All right. Looks like this incident occurred on or about the 13th of May and would have been on Waldo Avenue near Beach Street. Count 1 is a temporary instruction permit violation. Did operate a motor vehicle, to wit a 2005 Chevrolet Cavalier, bearing no plate in the City of Midland without being accompanied by a licensed operator or chauffeur in violation of the Michigan Vehicle Code. That is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $100 fine, as well as court costs. Mr. Branson, is there anything that your office wishes to address as far as these charges here today with Mr. Luna?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm curious if Mr. Luna does have his full driving privileges Also, for the court's information, there was a civil infraction, no proof of insurance, that was also part of the stop.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Luna, do you currently have a valid operator's license?
Yes, Your Honor. I actually obtained that within a few days after this incident had happened. So,
Okay, let me just confirm that with my staff. Deb, are you able to confirm that Mr. Luna is in fact licensed at this point? And just curious as far as the no proof of insurance ticket.
Your Honor, I'm checking on the driver's license. He has not paid the no proof of insurance ticket yet.
Okay. So, Mr. Luna, you were issued a citation for no proof of insurance. You have the ability to take care of that if you have a copy of that insurance. Do you have that with you today?
yes, I do have the insurance. So I wasn't sure. I had went to the court yesterday and they had asked me if I could like write a letter asking if maybe I, have insurance, that I could have that waived or something. So I was in the process of writing the letter, but now that we bring this up now, I don't know, could I just bring the proof of insurance in or something, and we could,
Well, yeah, well, do you have it with you right now?
yeah, hold on one second here.
I'd be curious if the car is also plated, Your Honor.
Yes, yes, it is. I have current plates on it. Everything's actually, my car is completely legal now. So let me, I'm pulling out the insurance right now. Okay. So I have this. You want me to just like show you in the screen or something?
Yeah,
or?
if you could try and hold it up to the screen, we'll see if we can actually see it.
Can you see that yet?
Not yet.
Is it too bright? I can try to get it in.
No, it's not too bright. If you just hold it a little bit closer to the screen. Let's see. Mr. Branson, are you able to see that? Because I am not.
No, I cannot, Your Honor.
Let me try this. Hold on one second here. Try getting it into a different lighting. Maybe that will help out.
If he could just read the expiration date, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay,
what day does it expire, Mr. Luna?
Expiration day 11/21/2021.
Very good, thank you.
All right. And Mr. Branson, he is in fact does have a valid operator's license.
Your Honor, the goal is to have him legal. If he's got his plate and his insurance and his license back, that makes him legal for the road, which is the goal. If he pays his civil infraction or straightens that up with the court in a very timely fashion, we'll dismiss the tip violation.
Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do, Mr. Luna. As far as the no proof of insurance ticket, what we need you to do is come down to the court with a copy of that insurance.
Okay.
Okay. Just provide a copy of that to the court. The fine for the no proof of insurance at this point, you got that on the 13th of May. The no proof of insurance citation is $150 fine. Is that something you're able to take care of today?
I mean, I could. It's,
Okay. Well, here's what we're going to do. If you come in, you pay that, provide a copy of that. What Mr. Branson is saying is he would dismiss the misdemeanor charge.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you come in, provide that proof of insurance, pay the $150, and the misdemeanor charge here today for violating your license restriction, that misdemeanor charge will be dismissed.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll be down there today to take care of that with a copy of my insurance.
Yep. So bring that, and once that is done, this matter will be resolved, Nothing more you need to do. The misdemeanor charge will be dismissed.
Okay, I appreciate
All
it.
right.
Very good, Your
Okay.
Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Branson. Thank you, Mr. Luna. Mr. Luna, you are free to leave the Zoom room.
Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right.
Thank you,
The next person I have here is, I believe, Preston Murphy was going to be next. So we have two files. We have a city file and a county file. Not sure if they go with the same case, but it's possible. Give me just a moment to pull that up. And while I'm doing that, Mr. Murphy, did you have an opportunity to meet with a defense counsel this morning, Mr. Houseel?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yeah.
All right. I have file 21-0483, counsel appearance for the record, please.
Your Honor, James Branson, on behalf of the City of Midland.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. And then I have file 21-0502, counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Ballman on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you. So let's take a look here. See what we got going on. Okay. All right, city file 210483. No operator's license. This stems from an incident on April 23rd of 2021. Would have been this would have been on Bay City Road near Rockwell. Did operate a motor vehicle, to wit, a 2007 Chevrolet Cobalt, in the city of Midland without possessing a valid operator's license as required. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $100 fine. So, Mr. Branson, is there anything the people wish to request as far as this charge here today?
Yes, Your Honor. At the time of the stop, it indicates in his driving record that his driving privileges were canceled, and it just lists canceled on his abstract. I'm not sure what the status is today.
All right, Mr. Murphy, do you have a valid operator's license now?
Yes, sir. I got one like days after.
Okay, so you currently have a valid operator's license?
Yeah, my other one was expired and I actually didn't even have it on me.
Okay. Let me just confirm that with my crew. Yes, yep, sounds like they've already got it. Deb's already on it. So you, Mr. Branson, he does in fact have a valid operator's license.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm curious as to what the date and the county charge is. That I don't have a list.
Okay, let me take a look here. I can go ahead and read that county charge. Let's see here. The county charge. All right, Mr. Murphy, this looks like this occurred on or about the 21st of April. Would have been in Midland County, looks like on M30. Motor vehicle securing loads. Did operate a vehicle carrying a load that was not completely enclosed, was not covered with firmly secured canvas or similar type of covering, or securely fastened to the body or frame of the vehicle with binders of adequate number and adequate braking strength to prevent the dropping off or shifting of the load. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail, a $500 fine, and court costs. Ms. Baumann, looks like for the people, the offer is fines and costs only. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. So that is the county case, Mr. Branson.
Your Honor, with that, if Mr. Murphy does lead to the county case and accepts the fine and cost, we would simply dismiss the no valid ops, showing that he now has currently licensed.
Okay. So Mr. Murphy, for your understanding, you have two separate charges here today. One, a misdemeanor driving offense through the city of Midland. The other, a misdemeanor driving offense through the county. What Mr. Branson is offering is if you were to plead guilty to the county charge, the city would dismiss their charge here today. Do you understand that offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as to the charge, and I'm sorry, I'm getting some background noise. Not sure where that's coming from. Okay. So Mr. Murphy, let's just take a look here. And just kind of reset myself where I was at here. Okay. As to the charge of motor vehicle operating with not a secure load today, did you wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to that charge?
Not guilty.
All right. And not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. This matter will be set for a pretrial.
With that,
I'm sorry, Mr. Branson.
with that, the offer is then withdrawn and as charged, Your Honor, if he chooses, or if we could schedule the pretrial at the same date with the county prosecutor.
And that's what we will do. We will set these for pretrial on the same date. So, Mr. Murphy, do you plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, or are you going to represent yourself?
I will represent myself, sir.
Okay. Your pretrial will be on the 3rd of August at 8:15 a.m. In the county file, we have personal recognizance bond, a $500 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. In file 21-0483 with the no valid ops, not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf. This matter will also set for a pretrial on August 3rd at 8:15 a.m. The bond there will be a $100 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You understand all that, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
All right. And these matters will be adjourned. Nothing more that you need to do today. You are free to leave the Zoom room.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. Thank you, Ms. Baumann. All right. I think Mr. Halston was next. Or Haleston. Is it I'm sorry, is it Haleston or Halston? You have to unmute for me, sir.
Haleston, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Haleston. All right. Good morning, Mr. Haleston. Mr. Haleston, did you have the opportunity today to meet with Mr. Halsey, Defense Counsel?
I did.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
May I get the charges read, please?
Yes, that would be the arraignment. Are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today, sir?
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And we will go ahead and take a look at this. This is file 21-0707. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Baumann. Okay, let's take a look here. All right, the charges here today, looks like this took place on or about the 25th of May, would have been on North Saginaw Road here in Midland County. Count 1 is operating with a high BAC. Did operate a vehicle upon a highway North Saginaw Road while having an alcohol content of 0.17 grams or more per 210 liters of breath. A misdemeanor punishable by up to 180 days in jail and or a $200 to $700 fine and or 360 hours community service. Rehabilitative programs, vehicle immobilization mandatory with a prior suspension. Cost of prosecution, reimburse government for emergency response and expenses for prosecuting defendant. Count 2 is operating while intoxicated. Did operate a vehicle upon a highway North Saginaw Road while under the influence of alcoholic liquor and or having an alcohol content of 0.08 grams or more per 210 liters of breath. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and or a $100 to $500 fine, 360 hours community service, rehabilitative programs, vehicle immobilization, costs of prosecution, reimburse government for emergency response and expenses for prosecuting defendant. Now, Mr. Hailston, the court is going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf today. We will set this matter for a pre-trial. Do you plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, sir? Going to represent yourself or request a court-appointed attorney?
I will hire an attorney, sir. Your Honor.
All right. Well, your pre-trial then will be on the 13th of July at 9 a.m. As soon as you hire an attorney and they file their appearance with the court, then they will receive a notice for that hearing as well. As far as bond, Ms. Baumann, is there anything the people wish to address as far as bond here today?
Yes, Your Honor. Given the charges and how serious they are with someone on the roads like this, we're asking that while on bond, the defendant is not engaging in any illegal drug use or alcohol while on bond, and that he get involved in pretrial services.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Hailston, you believe you did post a cash bond. I'm trying to find that here in amongst my paperwork. Maybe you didn't. Here we go. Okay. Okay, you did post a cash bond, so the terms of that bond will be continued. Mr. Hailston, while you're on bond, there's not to be any alcohol or illegal drugs. You're not to be around anyone with alcohol or illegal drugs. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You will be assigned to district court pretrial services for attend any intake or assessment for counseling services as determined by pretrial services. You'll be subject to random alcohol testing while you're on bond. You'll get an email later this morning from pretrial services to set up a Zoom meeting this afternoon in order to set up your counseling and testing services while you're on bond. You understand all of that, Mr. Hailston?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Otherwise, your matter is adjourned. You are free to leave the Zoom room. We will see you back here for your pretrial on the 13th of July at 9 a.m.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Just a moment. Okay. All right, looks like we have Brian Williamson will be next. All right. Mr. Williamson, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey this morning?
The attorney? Yes.
Yeah, the attorney.
Yes,
Yes, okay. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, this is file 21-0606. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you, Ms. Baumann. All right, taking a look here. Nope, that's not what we want. Okay, looks like this took place on or about the 9th of May. Would have been on South 8 Mile Road here in Midland County. Count 1 is operating with no license, multiple licenses. Did drive a motor vehicle upon 8 Mile Road, a highway in this state, without a valid operator's license or a valid chauffeur's license and the appropriate endorsement for the type or class of vehicle being driven or towed. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail $100 fine, and court costs. And it looks as though, Ms. Baumann, there's no offer from your office at this point due to the fact you also received only warnings for the no insurance and no plate. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Williamson, as to that charge today of a no valid operator's license, did you wish today to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute?
Not guilty.
All right, Mr. Williamson, a plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf. This matter is going to be set for a pretrial. Plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, sir, or are you going to represent yourself?
I'll be representing myself.
All right. And your pretrial then will be on August 3rd at 8:15 a.m. As far as bond, it will be a $100 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You understand all of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you are free to leave the Zoom room. We'll see you back here on August 3rd.
All right, Your
All
Honor.
right, thank you. All right, Mr. Lukowski, you will be next.
Okay.
Give me just a moment. Mr. Lukowski, did you meet defense counsel, Mr. Houseel, this morning?
I did, Your Honor.
All right, and are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes.
Okay, give me just a moment. Okay, this is file 21-0843. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
James Branson on behalf of the City of Midland.
All right, thank you, Mr. Branson. I apologize. There's one other file, file 21-0650. Counsel appearance on that file as well.
Can you repeat the file number again?
21-0650. I believe it's a city case as well.
I was going to say, yeah, I didn't have that. Okay, sorry.
It is, Your Honor. James Branson on behalf of the City of Midland as well.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. Actually, let me look at that one first, actually. That looks like that came first in time, so I will actually pull that file up. Okay, and in file 21-0650, Mr. Lukowski, looks like this took place on or about the 15th of May. Would have been on Inglewood Drive here in the city of Midland. Count one is barking dog. On May 15th of 2021, did then and there harbor or keep a dog, which by loud or frequent or habitual barking, yelping or howling did cause a serious annoyance to the neighborhood or to the people passing to and fro upon the streets in violation of the City of Midland Code of Ordinances. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Count two is dog without tags. Did then and there permit a dog, to wit, a pit bull, to be kept, possessed, or harbored, or having the care or charge of any dog being the age of 4 months or older within the City of Midland without being properly licensed as required by the state, is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Now, Mr. Branson, I can go ahead and read the other file before we proceed with what input you'd like to have on these charges.
Your Honor, I believe there's a number of counts on that same complaint. That's count 1 and 2. There is a 3 and 4. And I believe a 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 as well.
On 21-0843, there are, not on 21.
That's all news to me.
Hold on, Mr. That's why I'm reading you the charges, Mr. Lukowski.
Okay.
Mr. Branson, I only have 2 charges on 21-0650.
Very well, Your Honor.
But on 21-0843, I have several, so I'll go ahead and read through those. Mr. Lukowski, looks like this took place on or about the 12th of June. And actually, Mr. Branson, it could be my mistake. I'll go back and double check the other file. But I'm looking here.
We have ×3 each dog, Your Honor, for barking and no tags for 3 separate animals on site. And that would make
Okay.
it.
I think that's what confusing me is it's count 1 and 2, count 1 and 2, and count 1 and 2. So let me just go back then and get into that other file. 210650. Let me just double check that. Okay, on this one, we stepped through 3 and 4, so I apologize. So Mr. Lukowski, we're going back to file 210650. There's a count 3 and a count 4. Count 3 is barking dog. On May 15, 2021, did then and there harbor or keep a dog, which by loud or frequent or habitual barking, yelping or howling did cause a serious annoyance to the neighborhood or to the people passing to and fro upon the streets, in violation of section 3-18 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Midland. Count 4 is dog without tags. Did then and there permit a dog, to wit a pit bull, to be kept, possessed, or harbored, or having the care or charge of any dog being the age of 4 months or older within the city without being properly licensed as required by state. Each of those charges are punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. And apologize, I just have to step through these electronically. So we got 3 and 4. All right, then I have charges 5 and charges 6. Count 5 is barking dog. On May 15, 2021, did then and there harbor or keep a dog, which by loud or frequent or habitual barking, yelping, or howling did cause a serious annoyance to the neighborhood or to the people passing to and fro upon the streets, in violation of section 3-18 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Midland. Misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Count 6 is dog without tags. Did then and there permit a dog, to wit a pit bull, to be kept, possessed, or harbored, or having the care or charge of any dog being the age of 4 months or older within the City of Midland without being properly licensed as required by state. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Then I have count 7, dog odor. Did then and there create, harbor, or keep a dog which created an unpleasant odor in the neighborhood within the City of Midland, to wit 4817 Inglewood Drive, in violation of section 3-19 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Midland. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. And I'm sorry, just a moment. Okay, yep. So I think those are all the charges in file 21-0650. Now I'm going to address file 21-0843.
I don't know. I heard this
All
stuff.
right. So Mr. Lukowski, in file 21-0843, this occurred on June 12th of 2021. Count 1 was barking dog. On June 12th, 2021, did then and there harbor or keep a dog which by loud or frequent or habitual barking, yelping, or howling did cause a serious annoyance to the neighborhood or to the people passing to and fro upon the streets in violation of section 3-18 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Midland. Misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Count 2 is dog without tags. Did then and there permit a dog, to wit, a pit bull, to be kept, possessed, or harbored, or having the care or charge of any dog being the age of 4 months or older within the City of Midland without being properly licensed as required. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Looks like this one, maybe I don't. Okay, hold on. This one, I only have count 1 and 2 on this particular page. Give me just a moment.
It does continue, Your Honor.
I realize that. I'm gonna have to go back here. There, I think they're just entered in a different scan. I think I found it now. No. All right, I don't have the additional, I see that on the authorization and the affidavit, there's several more charges. Deb, do we have copies over there of these additional charges, or?
I don't have copies. Any of this.
Mr. Lukowski, we're just going through the charges. I think there are a few more here as far as your dogs. It gives me just a moment. I'm just, there are additional 4 counts as far as the barking dog and the dog without tags. There's going to be a count 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to see if I can go back in time.
Can we send anything over to you, Your Honor?
Well, I'm sorry.
You want us to send anything over to you on this particular file?
I've got them in my hand now, so
Oh,
I'm going to
very
go ahead and continue on file. Let's see here. Where were we? File 21-0843 and count Count 3, on June 12, 2021, did then and there harbor or keep a dog which by loud or frequent or habitual barking, yelping, or howling did cause a serious annoyance to the neighborhood or to the people passing to and fro upon the streets in violation of the City of Midland Code of Ordinances. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Count 4 is dog without tags. Did then and there permit a dog, to wit a pit bull, to be kept, possessed, or harbored, or having the care or charge of any dog, being the age of 4 months or older within the city, without being properly licensed as required by state. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and or a $500 fine. Count 5 is barking dog. On June 12, 2021, did then and there harbor or keep a dog, which by loud or frequent or habitual barking, yelping, or howling did cause a serious annoyance to the neighborhood or to the people passing to and fro upon the streets in violation of the City of Midland Code of Ordinances. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Count 6 is dog without tags. Did then and there permit a dog, to wit a pit bull, to be kept, possessed, or harbored, or having the care or charge of any dog being the age of 4 months or older within the City of Midland without being properly licensed as required by state. I do believe that are all the charges. Mr. Branson, is there anything you wish to address as far as these charges here today?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm not sure what his intent is with these, but there are a number of charges that the court has gone through for the May 12th, 21 date and the 6/12/21 date. To refresh the court, on August 27th, 20, we had him in court. He pled guilty to virtually the same charges. There was also a complaint after that on 10/20/20. We've also had previous complaints prior to the previous criminal charge of guilty on August 27th, 2020. These animals are living in horrific conditions. There are certain people that should own animals, should not have them in their possession, and this guy is one of them. We asked at the time on August that he not be allowed to have animals. He was given a chance to prove himself. He's blowing that chance. The photos of the conditions of the exterior of this home and the conditions of the interior, with dogs being left there 3 and 4 days unattended, barking in a trailer park with a trailer. He shouldn't own an animal, shouldn't possess an animal, shouldn't be around an animal. So part of this, we are going to look for significant jail time as well. We will also be asking, as part of a bond term, that these animals be removed immediately from his possession. He can live how he wants to, but these animals shouldn't be a part of his lifestyle. So with that, Your Honor, we're going forward with these counts. Mr. Lukowski knows we are serious about this. We had him in court before. We're not playing games with him, and these dogs need to live better than he does. So they should be removed immediately as part of any bond term and condition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Lukowski, as to the charges in file 21-0650 and the charges in file 21-0843, did you wish today to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to those charges?
I plead not guilty because all that information is inaccurate and it needs to be for the court's action.
Mr. Lukowski, if you have a a defense, you can certainly bring that at the time of pretrial. The court is going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf today. And plan on hiring an attorney to represent you? You're going to represent yourself or request a court-appointed attorney?
This is all news to me, so I was aware of count 1 and 2. But all these other charges, I've never received any documentation.
Well, Mr. Lukowski, that's the purpose of the arraignment today. And you've been apprised of all the charges to which you've pled not guilty. The matter is going to be set for a pretrial. The pretrial will be on, actually it'll be on the 5th of August at 8:20 a.m.
Can I make a request?
I'm sorry?
May I make a request?
What's that, sir?
That the information gets sent to me.
Okay. Well,
Mr. something I'm not aware of.
Mr. Lukowski, you were sent an appearance to be here today. You can, if you, Mr. Lukowski, we can get you a copy of the charges. If you want to stop down here to the court, we can certainly provide those to you.
I mean, they don't even have the grades right.
Mr. Lukowski, if you have defenses, we can address those at the pretrial. You know, if this continues, if you wish to have a trial, you can do that as well. If you want to hire counsel, you can hire an attorney to represent you. But
Okay.
These are the chart. I'm sorry.
Well, I know I have my time to talk at the pretrial, but it depends on whether or not I get counsel, because these dogs have never been left alone for more than one.
Mr. Lukowski, everything now here is on the record. All right. You have a right to remain silent. You've pled not guilty. Those are things that can be brought up at the pretrial, either by you or if you hire an attorney to represent you. Okay.
So it is legal to charge somebody with a charge that they are unaware of?
Mr. Lukowski, that's the purpose of arraignment. I am reading you the charges. You have now been made aware of what the charges are. That is how the court system works. You've been made aware of what the charges are, what the penalties are for each and every charge. Okay. So you've been made aware there's several charges that have been put forth today. You've pled not guilty to those charges. The matter will be addressed at a pretrial on the 5th of August at 8:20 a.m. Now, as far as these charges, the court is going to set bond today. Okay.
Okay.
Your bond in file 21-0650 will be a $500 personal recognizance bond. In addition to that bond, Mr. Lukowski, if there is any complaints, no other crimes while you're on bond, you're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. If there is a further complaint for barking dog or a dog without tags during the time that you are on bond, your bond will be revoked and you'll be a bench warrant. You'll be returned to. Your bond will be revoked and have a bench warrant. And you'll be sent to the Midland County Jail until this matter can be addressed. And your dogs will be removed from the home at that time. So it's important that while you're on bond, that you stay in compliance, not have the barking dogs, and make sure that they are properly licensed. The same file in 210843 will be the same bond with the same conditions. The dogs are to be licensed. There's to be no other complaints of the barking dogs, and the smell and conditions of the dogs need to be addressed while you're on bond.
Okay.
If there's any violation of the bond, you'll be taken to the Midland County Jail. Your bond will be revoked, and the dogs will be removed from your home. Do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Lukowski?
For the most part, I
Okay,
do.
what part is not clear?
My dogs are licensed. I just don't have them wear their collars in the house.
Okay, well, Mr. Lukowski, that, those are things that you have, if you have proof of that, obviously that can be addressed, but if they're licensed, great, you shouldn't have an issue with that bond condition. The other
Right.
condition is that the dogs are not barking continuously to a disturbance of the neighborhood, and that the area where the dogs are kept is kept clean and not a nuisance to the neighborhood while you're on bond. Do you understand all of that, Mr. Lukowski?
Yes. So I have to like white glove it clean, or what is?
Well, you have to get it clean enough so that the neighbors aren't disturbed by the smell coming from your home while you're on bond.
Okay.
All right.
Uh,
Otherwise, Mr. Lukowski, your matter will be adjourned. We'll see you back here on the 5th of August at 8:20 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Have a
Honor.
good day.
Thank you, Mr. Branson.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right. I think our next case will be Kelly Hampton, I do believe. Ms. Hampton, you can go ahead and unmute. All right. Okay, give me just a moment. Ms. Hampton, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey, Defense Counsel, this morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is file 21-0649. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
James Branson, behalf of City of Midland.
All right, thank you, Mr. Branson. All right, looks like this occurred on or about the 16th of May. This would have been on Novak Street here in the city of Midland. Count one is dog running at large. Did then and there permit a dog, whether licensed or unlicensed, to run at large or stray beyond the premise of such owner without being under reasonable control of some person. To wit, a pit bull dog under the care of the defendant was allowed to stray beyond the reasonable control of the defendant at or near 2708 Novak Street in the city of Midland in violation of the City of Midland Code of Ordinances. This is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and or a $500 fine. Mr. Branson, is there anything you wish to address as far as this charge here today?
Your Honor, at this time, there is no offer, and for the court's information, restitution is off the table at this point. It has been paid in full, and the current charge, there is no offer. We would be recommending no jail and minimum fines and costs.
All right, thank you, Mr. Branson. I do see that on the bottom here, there was a restitution, but that's been resolved.
Yes.
So Ms. Hampton, as to the charge of dog running at large today, did you wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to that charge?
I'm not guilty.
All right, a plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf. This matter will be set for a pretrial. That pretrial will be on the 5th of August at 8:30 a.m. As far as bond, while it'll be a $500 personal recognizance bond, no other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. The dog is to be kept from running at large while you're on bond. Otherwise, if there's a violation of the bond condition, it can be revoked and you can be sent to the Midland County Jail for the bond violation. Do you understand that, Ms. Hampton?
Yes, sir.
All right, so otherwise, this matter will be adjourned. We'll see you back here on the 5th of August at 8:30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Branson.
Thank you.
Okay. Give just a moment. Okay. Okay, looks like our next file, give me just a moment to take a look here, would be Nathaniel Owen Morris. If you could unmute for us, please. All right. Mr. Owen Morris, did you receive an, I'm sorry, did you have the opportunity to speak to Mr. Halsey this morning? Nathaniel Owen Morris, can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm sorry, I can't. It's hard to tell how you are. You in a car or what?
I am.
Okay. Are you sitting up or are you laying down? I mean, it looks like.
Rested back.
Okay. Could you sit up, please, while we're discussing your case? Okay. All right. And Mr. Owen Morris, did you have the opportunity? I'm sorry, Mr. Owen Morris, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey this morning, Defense Counsel?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. We're on file 21-0612. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people. Sorry.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. This is Mr. Branson's file, file 21-0612.
Thank you, Your Honor. James Branson, behalf of City of Midland.
All right, thank you. And then Ms. Bowman, file 21-0619. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and read both files here. Give me just a moment. All right. In file 21-0612, this occurred on or about the 11th of May in the city of Midland. Looks like on Bay City Road. Is no operator's license. Did operate a motor vehicle bearing a plate in the city of Midland without possessing a valid operator's license as required in violation of the Michigan Vehicle Code. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $100 fine. Now the county complaint. All right, May 11th. And this is motor vehicle operation without security. Did being the owner of a Chevrolet Cavalier, a motor vehicle with respect to which security is required, operate that vehicle upon Bay City Road, a public highway in the state of Michigan, without having in full force and effect security complying with the above cited statute. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail, a fine of not less than $200 nor more than $500. Looks like if he has proof of insurance, the people would offer a civil infraction in your case. Is that true, Ms. Baumann?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. And in your case, Mr. Branson, is there anything you wish to address with that file as far as the no valid operator's license?
Your Honor, I'm curious if he does now currently have a valid operator's license.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
Can't hear him.
Go ahead and try again, Mr. Owen Morris. I'm sorry, we're stepping on you there a little bit. You need to be a little clearer for us.
Okay. I apologize. I am trying to get my license as of right now. I have been struggling to find a place to take a road test. That is the only obstacle standing in my way.
Okay. And how about your insurance?
I did purchase insurance a little while ago, but they revoked it because I do not have a license.
Okay, so right now we don't have either one. Okay. What we can do, I can enter a not guilty plea on your behalf at this time, due to the fact that one of these charges is a 1-year misdemeanor. So what we'll do, I'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. We're going to set this matter for a pretrial. That pretrial will be on, do you plan on, let me ask you this, do you plan on hiring an attorney or are you going to represent yourself?
Represent myself.
Okay, we'll set the matter for a pretrial on the 3rd of August at 8:15 a.m. Okay. You work on getting your license and insurance. If you can bring both of those, hopefully you can get your road test in before that time. Once you have a valid license, get your insurance reinstated. We can talk about that at the pretrial. And other than that, I think because at that point you would have the offer for the civil infraction for no proof of insurance. And Mr. Branson may have an offer for you as far as the driver's license, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it at the time of pretrial.
Your Honor, we want
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Branson.
We want to ensure that there's no further driving. I'm not sure if he's driving today or in a vehicle or in the driver's seat, but obviously there is going to be no offer if there's current violations from this day on.
Okay, so do you understand that, Mr. Owen Morris?
Yes.
Okay, so what we'll do, we're going to set in each file will be a $500 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. So until you are licensed, and the driving would fall into the no other crimes category. But just make sure that there's no other violations. That'll be very helpful for you at the time of pretrial. We'll send you a notice for that. We'll see you on August 3rd at 8:15 a.m.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Owen Morris.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next we have Evan Wilson. If you could go ahead and unmute for us, please. All right. Good morning, Mr. Wilson.
Good morning.
All right. We are here on file 21-0589. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Bauman on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Ms. Bauman. And Mr. Wilson, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey this morning, defense counsel?
Yes, I did.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me go ahead and take a look and see what's going on here. All right, looks like this took place on or about the 2nd of December in 2020. Count 1 is motor vehicle operation without security. Did being the owner of a Dodge Durango, a motor vehicle with respect to which security is required, operate that vehicle upon M20, a public highway in the state of Michigan, without having in full force and effect security complying with the above cited statute. It's a misdemeanor punishable by not more than a year in jail, fine of not less than $200 nor more than $500. Count 2 is controlled substance selling prescribed drugs. Did possess or control for the purpose of resale a drug, pharmaceutical preparation, or chemical that was dispensed on prescription and left the control of the pharmacist. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Looks like the offer from your office, Ms. Bauman, would be if you were to plead guilty to the operating without insurance, the controlled substance selling prescribed drugs would be dismissed, and he would have to agree to forfeit all the bottles of promethazine. Is that accurate?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Wilson, since the one charge is a 1-year misdemeanor, the court's going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf today. We're going to set this matter for a pretrial. Do you plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, sir? You're going to represent yourself?
I'll represent myself.
All right, then your pretrial will be on the 3rd of August at 8:15 a.m. Ms. Baumann, is there anything that people wish to request as far as bond for Mr. Wilson?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Wilson, as far as your bond goes, it will be a $500 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. We will see you back here for your pretrial on the 3rd of August at 8:15 a.m.
Okay.
All right. You are free to leave the Zoom room, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, one question.
Yes, sir.
Come August 3rd, 8:15, would I use the same meeting ID to get into the meeting as I did today? Or will I have?
It'll be a different meeting ID and we'll send that to you so you know where to sign into. Okay.
Via email or phone?
We will send that to you. We'll mail it to you. And since we have your email address, we can also send you the appearance notice via email.
Okay, thank you. That was it.
Right. Thank you. All right. You have a good day, sir.
You too.
All right. Then next we have, looks like Malu Alvarado Aguilar.
Oh, yep. Okay, I'm unmuted.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Ms. Alvarado Aguilar, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Househill, Defense Counsel, this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is file 21-0616. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
James Branson, on behalf of City of Midland.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. Okay, Ms. Alvarado Aguilar, looks like this took place on May 10th of this year. Would have been on Buttles Street in Ashland here in the City of Midland. Count one is driving while license suspended, first offense. Then and there operating a motor vehicle upon West Buttle Street and Ashland Street, a highway within the City of Midland, while their operator's license was suspended or revoked. And that is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 93 days in jail and or a $500 fine, as well as vehicle immobilization. Mr. Branson, is there anything you wish to address as far as this charge here today?
Your Honor, thank you, Your Honor. I'm curious as to the status of her license at this time.
All right. So, Ms. Alvarado Aguilar, how are we doing with your driver's license?
I actually got the issue resolved the very next day. I didn't know my license was suspended when it was suspended. So it was handled the next day and I do have my license now.
Okay, we'll just confirm that really quickly. And as soon as we have that confirmed, we'll go forward. So.
Your Honor, she is showing valid.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Branson, it appears she does have a valid operator's license at this point.
Your Honor, at that point, we would offer the allowing, which would be non-abstractable and 0 points.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Aguilar, do you understand what the offer is from Mr. Branson today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm going to reiterate just so you understand. The driving while license suspended charge would be dismissed. It would be a charge of allowing while driving while license suspended, which would mean that it is a non-moving violation. Since it's a non-moving violation, even though the penalties are the same, there's no points associated with it. It would not be abstracted to the Secretary of State. So with that offer today, do you wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to the charge of allowing while driving while license suspended?
I'll plead guilty.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
Sorry, I'll plead guilty.
All right. In order to plead guilty, I want you to understand you do waive the right to remain silent, the right to have a trial, to call witnesses on your behalf and cross-examine witnesses. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have to have a factual basis from you, so I'm asking you to raise your right hand for me. Swear and affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth for everything brought before this court today?
Yes.
Okay. So on the 10th of May, were you driving a motor vehicle here in the city of Midland on West Buttle Street?
Yes, sir.
All right. And at that time, was your driver's license suspended?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Branson, are you satisfied with that factual basis?
I am, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The court is satisfied with that factual basis as well. Ms. Alvarado Aguilar, did anyone make any threats or promises to you to plead guilty today?
No, sir.
All right. The court will accept your guilty plea as knowing and voluntarily made. As far as the sentence today, you said you took care of things right away. What happened that your license got suspended?
There was a misfiling with a ticket in Mount Pleasant. They had it under a misdemeanor when it was supposed to be a civil infraction. And when I called to get the ticket taken care of, they told me they had to refile everything and that they would call me when the issue was resolved. But instead they sent mail to an old address. So I didn't ever know about it when it was ready to get taken care of, like when it was fixed. So I ended up having a suspended license and didn't realize.
Okay, but your license, so as soon as you found out, you called Mount Pleasant and took care of the issue?
Yeah, because when I found out I had a suspended license, that was the only thing I could think of was that maybe there was something wrong with the Mount Pleasant ticket.
Okay, all right. Mr. Branson, do you have any input as far as sentencing?
Your Honor, she's accurate. The day after, she was in a non-at-fault accident, so she was not ticketed. It wasn't her fault. Someone ran a red light, and when they ran her license as being part of that, it came up suspended out of Mount Pleasant for a PBT refusal for April date. May 10th, it was the offense, and May 11th, she got it done. So she got right at it and took care of it, but it was suspended out of a PBT refusal.
Okay, all right. So what we're going to do as far as your sentence today, it's going to be fines and costs only. It will be for the charge of allowing while driving while license suspended. The charge of driving while license suspended will be dismissed. The sentence will be a $75 crime victim fee, a $50 state assessment fee, $100 fine, and $50 in court costs. That is $275. Is that something you can take care of today, or you need time for that?
I can take care of it today.
All right. If you just contact the court, make that payment, this matter will be resolved. There'll be nothing more you need to do.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. You have a good day. You are free to leave the Zoom room.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Branson. All right. Then next I have Trinity Burke. Just a moment to pull up that file. Trinity, I don't see Trinity Burke. Did we lose her?
Your Honor, I'm not seeing her either. Next I have Mr. Corona
Okay.
Garcia.
All right, so let's see, this is file 21-0705. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Bauman on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Ms. Bauman. Now this is for Mauricio Corono, and he has someone there to interpret for him. Is that correct?
Yes, good morning. My name is Dora Garcia, and I am interpreting for Mauricio Garcia Corona on his behalf.
Okay. The first question I have is, did he have the opportunity with you to speak with Mr. Houseel this morning, Defense Counsel?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And I would like you to ask him if he is prepared to proceed with the arraignment today.
¿Estás preparado para proceder hoy?
Sí.
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right. Let me go ahead and pull up that file. Oops. Okay, you know, Ms. Bauman, if you'd send anything over, are we arraigning on the ticket today?
I believe I have count one operating CMV without group endorsement. Let me check if it's ticket or not. One moment. Yeah, I believe it's just the ticket.
Okay, do you have the penalties? Because I actually have 2 misdemeanor charges on the citation as well as a civil infraction.
So the only thing that we have charged him for was the count one operating CMV without group endorsement. That was the misdemeanor. He was given a citation for no medical certificate, but that's not something we're dealing with, I guess. So,
Well, the other one is, it says motor carrier interstate fee violation, which is also a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So that's, okay.
yeah, I don't have that in the notes as the charges. Let me, 1 second. Yeah, it looks like we only charged him with count one.
Okay. Well, I'll see if I can find.
That's what I have in the complaint too.
Okay. Okay. So, but there's not been a notice sent to the court. We're just charging on the ticket itself.
My understanding, yeah.
Okay.
I don't see anything
Just a
else.
moment. Nope, there's nothing else here. We don't, so we will arraign on the ticket. Because there is another misdemeanor, so I'm understanding that's going to be dismissed.
Yeah, from my understanding too, it's not even on our charging document. So I will put a note in the file, but as of right now, that's not what we're only charging him with count one.
Okay. I'm going to have to look this up here.
So I see a note here. On 6/18/21, we declined issuing charges for MCL 478.7 violation, which I believe is that second one. Let me flip time to make sure. Yeah, so we declined charges on the second misdemeanor of the motor carrier interstate fee violations and are only charging him with count one, CMV operating without proper vehicle endorsement.
Okay.
And it looks like Patrick declined those charges on 6/18 for the second count.
Okay, all right, okay. Okay, so, and I apologize for our interpreter here, but Ms. Corono, there was a ticket issued to Mr. Corona, and the misdemeanor charge of motor carrier interstate fee violation is dismissed, not being charged. Are you able to share that with Mr. Corona?
Sí, el primer cargo ya te lo quitaron. Yes. I just told him.
Okay, so then we have a second charge, which is commercial motor vehicle without proper endorsement. Looks like this occurred on or about May 25th. Would have been on US 10 near Eastman Avenue here in Midland County. It is operating a commercial motor vehicle without the proper vehicle endorsement. You wish to share that with him?
Te pararon porque el vehículo, ese día te acuerdas que no te iba a hacer tu aseguranza, no la aseguranza, todo de la troca. Okay, yes, I did share that with him.
Okay, and that is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and or a $100 fine.
Y te pueden dar 90 días en la cárcel y de $100 de que vas a pagar. Okay.
Okay. Now, Ms. Bowman, there's no offer on that charge. Is that correct?
Yes, right now, Your Honor, I guess the information we're looking for at this time is basically an update on whether the defendant has his CMV status updated or whether he's seeking to get one in the future. And then maybe with that information, we could set it for pretrial so that way Patrick can look over that and determine if he wants to make an offer.
Okay. So for Mr. Corona, does he have his commercial motor vehicle endorsement at this time?
At this time, he doesn't, he just has a regular driver's license. He did not know he needed that one. We are looking into getting one. That's why he didn't want to plead guilty.
Okay, so he's going to work on getting one. Is that my understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
either that or look for another something else employment.
Okay. Well, we could enter a not guilty plea on his behalf today and set the matter for a pretrial if he wished to. He can, in the meantime, if he gets a vehicle endorsement, that can be considered a pretrial.
¿Quieres ponerte culpable, verdad?
Sí.
No, he just wants to go ahead and get it over with and do guilty.
He wishes to plead guilty today?
Yes,
okay. Sir. I do have a question. There's a civil infraction for no medical certificate. Did he pay that ticket?
Yes, we paid that ticket that I think was the following day. Yep.
Okay.
We did.
All right. Okay. So as to the misdemeanor charge of operating without a proper commercial motor vehicle, operating without a proper vehicle endorsement, today, does he wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute?
Vas a ser culpable, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Guilty.
Okay. All right. Now, I want him to understand that if he is to plead guilty today, he waives the right to remain silent.
Quiere que entiendas que si te haces culpable hoy no tienes derecho a hablar. Okay.
He waives the right to have a trial.
Y no vas a tener que tienes que ir a corte otra vez. Okay.
Waives the right to call witnesses on his behalf and cross-examine witnesses.
No vas a tener que tengas testigos que contraten. Okay.
Okay. All right. So now I have to have a factual basis. I'm going to ask you both to raise your right hand for me.
Mano derecha. Okay.
Swear and affirm.
Yes.
To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Yes. For everything brought before this court today.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, did he understand all of that as well?
Yes, sí entendí que es todo eso, que vas a decir toda la verdad. Yes.
Okay. So my question for him, was he operating a commercial motor vehicle on US 10 on May 25th of 2021?
Estabas manejando una troca mayo 25 en el US 10 en Michigan. Tienes que decir que sí. Yes.
Okay. And at that time, did he not have a commercial motor vehicle license?
Y ese tiempo no tenías esa licencia que se requiere. Sí. Yes.
Okay. Ms. Baumann, are you satisfied with the factual basis?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court is satisfied as well. For Mr. Corona, did anyone make any threats or promises to him to plead guilty today?
No, nadie te amenazó o algo que dijeras que eras culpable.
No.
No.
Okay. The court will accept his guilty plea as knowing and voluntarily made. If you can
Sí.
explain that to him.
O si te van a aceptar que te estás culpando y culpable. Okay.
Okay. So as far as the sentence today, so it's my understanding he may attempt to get a commercial motor vehicle license or he may just get another job?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, there's not going to be any jail time today. It'll be fines and costs only.
Okay.
It'll be a $75 crime victim fee, $50 state assessment fee, $50 fine, and $50 in court costs. That's $225. Is he able to pay that today or does he need time?
¿Puedes pagar eso hoy o necesitas tiempo de 225? No. We can pay it today.
Okay. As soon as he pays that, this matter will be resolved. There'll be nothing more he needs to do on this particular file.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you both for your time. You are free to leave the Zoom room.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Okay. All right. Well, looks like we have 2, 3, 4, 6 people left to speak to this morning. Let's start with Trinity Burke. Ms. Burke, if you can unmute. There we are. Okay, Ms. Burke, are you able to hear me? Trinity Burke? You're unmuted, but I still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. All right. So, Trinity Burke, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halsey, Defense Counsel this morning?
Yes, I did.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, I am.
Okay. This is file 21-0505. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Bowman, on behalf of the people.
All right. Thank you. All right. So let me take a look at this file here. Okay, it looks like this took place on or about April 16th in Midland County on Castor Road. Looks like count 1 is operating while license suspended, revoked, or denied. Did operate a motor vehicle upon Castor Road, a highway, while his operator's license was suspended or revoked. It's a second or subsequent offense. Take notice, defendant was previously convicted of driving while license suspended on October 23rd, 2007 in the 76th District Court in Isabella County, January 3rd, 2008 in Gladwin County, March 20th, 2008 in Gladwin County, December 1st, 2008 in Gladwin County, March 8th, 2011 in Gladwin County, August 22nd, 2011 in Gladwin County, August 20th, 2012 in Gladwin County, January 14th, 2013 here in Midland County, and January 27th, 2020 in Gladwin County. Therefore, upon conviction, the defendant may be subject to an enhanced sentence and vehicle immobilization. It's a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail and a $1,000 fine. Looks like the offer is driving while license suspended. First offense, if he cooperates, including truthful testimony if necessary against a co-defendant in the file. Is that accurate, Ms. Bowman?
That is accurate, Your Honor.
Okay. At this time, I'm not sure what the other case is in this particular file. Would you wish this to be a not guilty plea and set out for a pretrial?
Yes, I'd like to plead not guilty.
Okay, a not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf, Mr. Burke. The matter will be set for a pretrial. Plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, sir, or are you going to represent yourself?
Probably represent myself.
All right, your pretrial will be on the 10th of August at 8:15 a.m.
Okay.
As far as bond will be no other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. Do you understand all that, Mr. Burke?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, and this matter will be adjourned.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, are you giving a PR bond?
Yeah, and I was just going to, I skipped over that, so I appreciate that. I was just getting back. It's going to be a $500 personal recognizance bond, Mr. Burke, along with the no other crimes, not to leave the state without permission of the court. Otherwise, this matter will be adjourned. You are free to leave the Zoom room.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, just a moment. Get my list updated here. Okay. All right, next I have Ryan Wharton.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Wharton. Let me just take a look at things here. Mr. Wharton, did you have the opportunity to meet with Defense Counsel, Mr. Hoseel, this morning?
Yes, I did.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is file 21-0682. Counsel appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Bauman on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you. There we are. Just a moment, I'll pull this up. Okay, looks like this occurred on or about the 24th of April. Would have been on Isabella Street here in Midland. Count one is embezzlement, agent or trustee, $200 or more, but less than $1,000. Did being an agent, servant, or employee of next door food store convert to his own use without the consent of his principal, cash, money, or other personal property of his principal having a value of $200 or more, but less than $1,000. That came in defendant's possession or under the defendant's charge or control by virtue of his relationship with the principal. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail and or a $2,000 fine or 3 times the amount embezzled, whichever is greater. Now, Mr. Wharton, the court's going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. We're going to set this matter for a pre-trial. Do you plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, sir, or are you going to represent yourself?
I'm going to request a court appointed, please.
Okay, based upon the charges, Mr. Wharton, I do not believe that unless something else were to occur, that jail is a possibility. So the court is not going to grant you a court-appointed attorney.
Okay.
As far as the sentence here today, so you are welcome, or as far as the charge here today, so you are have the ability to hire an attorney to represent you, or you can represent yourself. What we'll do, we'll set the pretrial for August 10th at 8:15 a.m. As far as bond, I think for the purposes of this particular case, for the purpose of bond, Ms. Baumann, is there anything that people wish to address as far as bond?
Not at this time, Your Honor. We just asked that he's not going to the next door food store location.
All right. So, Mr. Wharton, while you're on bond, it's going to be a $1,000 personal recognizance bond, a PR bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You are going to be assigned to district court pretrial services to attend any intake or assessment for counseling services as determined by pretrial services. And just so you're aware, they will send you an email later this morning to give you a Zoom room to sign into to start your pretrial services. You can discuss that at that time. While you're on bond, you are not to go to the next door food store while you're on bond. You understand all of that, Mr. Wharton?
Yes, that's understood, Your Honor.
All right, then your matter is adjourned. We'll see you back here on the 10th of August at 8:15 a.m. For your pretrial.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Then I have Kurt Pickering would be next.
Present, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is file 21-0673. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Ms. Baumann. Now, Mr. Pickering, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Houseel today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read the charge today. Looks like this took place on or about the 11th of March. Would have been within Midland County, looks like on Vale Street near Cambridge. Motor vehicle operation without security. Did being the owner of a Chevrolet Cavalier, a motor vehicle with respect to which security is required, operate that vehicle upon Vale Street, a public highway in the state of Michigan, without having in full force and effect security complying with the above cited statute. It's a misdemeanor punishable by not more than a year in jail, fine of not less than $200 nor more than $500. Looks like the offer, Ms. Baumann, is if he has proof of insurance, the people would dismiss the misdemeanor and offer a civil infraction as long as he has proof.
That is correct.
So, Mr. Pickering, do you have proof of insurance for that vehicle?
Yes, I do, dating to the exact date of the infraction.
Okay. Do you have that to share with the court?
It is on my phone.
Okay. Can you
bring
pull
it
it
in?
up? If you can pull it up on your screen and then share screen so we can see it.
All right, one moment, please. Can you see that all right?
Well, we can. It's it expires in September. The court satisfied. Are you satisfied, Ms. Baumann?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So with that presentation, and you can stop sharing, sir.
Yep.
There we are. With that presentation of insurance, you wish to admit responsibility to the civil infraction of no proof of insurance.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Did you wish to admit responsibility to a civil infraction of no proof of insurance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. With that admission of responsibility to the civil infraction of no proof of insurance, the misdemeanor charge will be dismissed. And as far as the fine on that, it'll be $150 for no proof of insurance. Is that something you can pay today, or you need some time for that?
I can pay that on Friday.
Okay, all right. Just make sure you get a copy of that insurance to the court along with that payment on Friday, and this matter will be resolved. Nothing more you'll have to do, Mr. Pickering.
All right. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All
Am I-
right. You are free to leave the Zoom room, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Earl Williamson, you will be next, sir.
I'm here.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Williamson. Mr. Williamson, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Halseal today?
Yes.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is file 21-0670. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Ballman on behalf of the people.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Baumann. All right, Mr. Williamson, I'm going to go ahead and read the charge today. Looks like this took place on or about December 7th of 2020. Would have been in Midland County. Looks like it is wildlife conservation taking deer. Would have been on Thayer Road in Midland County, taking deer, bear, turkey, or wolf. Did violate Department of Natural Resource order regarding the taking or possession of deer by taking or attempting to take a deer over bait. It's a misdemeanor punishable by not more than 90 days in jail, a fine of no less than $200 or more than $1,000, and the costs of prosecution shall be ordered, restitution to the state for value of the animal, $1,000 for a deer, additional restitution, $1,000 for an antlered white-tailed deer, plus $500 for each point for a deer with at least 8 points, but not more than 10 points. $750 for each point for a deer with 11 or more points. Shall not secure or possess any kind of hunting license for the year of the conviction in the following 3 calendar years for an antlered white-tailed deer, a second, for additional 2 calendar years. For a second or subsequent offense, an additional 7 calendar
There, they
years.
just updated on my end. Just updated.
Okay, all right. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, Ms. Baumann, looks like it says if the defendant pleads guilty as charged on a 6-month delay, the people will move to dismiss the charges at the end of the delay if the defendant complies with the term of the delay, must also pay $1,000 restitution pursuant to the statute. No objection to non-reporting probation. Is that accurate?
That is, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Williamson, do you understand the offer from the prosecutor's office?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So as to that charge today, did you wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute?
I don't think I was guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, well then a not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf, Mr. Williamson.
Okay.
This matter will be set for a pretrial. You plan on hiring an attorney to represent you, sir, or are you going to represent yourself?
Represent myself, sir.
All right, your pretrial will be on the 10th of August at 8:15 a.m. While you're on bond, it'll be a $500 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You understand all that, Mr. Williamson?
Yes, sir.
All right, otherwise this matter will be adjourned. You are free to hang up and leave the Zoom room today, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then I have Jaden Thomas.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Thomas, did you have the opportunity this morning to meet with Mr. Halseal, Defense Counsel?
Yes, I did.
All right. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yep.
All right. This is file 21-0695. Council appearance for the record, please.
James Branson, on behalf of City of Midland.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. All right. So, Mr. Thomas, I'm going to go ahead and read the charges here today.
Okay.
All right. Looks like this took place on or about the 22nd of May here in the city of Midland. Count one is temporary instruction permit violation. Did operate a motor vehicle, to wit a 2019 Nissan Versa, in the city of Midland without being accompanied by a licensed operator or chauffeur, in violation of the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code. That is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $100 fine. Now, Mr. Branson, is there anything you wish to address as far as this charge today?
Yeah, sure. I'm curious if Mr. Thomas has his license back or the tip violation. Does he have his full privileges there?
I have my full license on me right now if you guys would like to see it. But yes, I do have.
Well, what we will do is we're just going to verify that, Mr. Thomas, and then we'll move forward. Okay.
Yep.
So my staff will verify that, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay.
Your Honor, we show that he's valid until November 3rd, 2023.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Branson, he does currently have a valid operator's license.
Very good, Your Honor. The basis of the stop was speeding. He was doing 47 and 35. We offer the civil infraction of a BBSL, dismiss the misdemeanor if he pleads responsible and pays the fine.
Okay, so you're offering, if you were to admit responsibility to the civil infraction of violation of basic speed law, this misdemeanor charge would be dismissed?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Thomas, do you understand that offer from Mr. Branson?
Yes.
Okay, so do you wish to admit responsibility to a civil infraction of violation of basic speed law?
Yes.
Okay. With that admission of responsibility to the violation of basic speed law, the misdemeanor charge of the violation of the license permit will be dismissed. For the violation of basic speed law, be a $135 fine. Is that something you can pay today, Mr. Thomas, or you need time to take care of that?
I can pay that today.
All right. Once you make that payment, this matter will be resolved. There'll be nothing more you need to do with the court. You are free to leave the Zoom room this morning.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now we have 3 files with a Seth Marsluft. And Mr. Marsluft, I believe you are here with us. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Here I am.
All right.
And Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
I believe we only have 2 because I have here in the notes that one of them was a double entry by the district court.
Okay.
And that was 210689. That was the deleted one.
Okay, that's Mr. Branson. No, okay. I don't know why it's green, orange. Okay, so 210869, we're not going to worry about.
Correct.
It looks like it's a different charge, but I will take your word for it. So we will address 21-0704 and 21-0836. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
All right. Let me find your file, Mr. Marsloff. Here we go. Okay. And you are correct, Ms. Bowman, because on my electronic files, that one no longer exists. So. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at 21-0704 first. Okay. All right, this particular file looks like this occurred on or about the 25th of May, would have been on South 8 Mile Road. Count
Yes,
one
sir.
is no motor vehicle operation without security. Did being the owner of a Pontiac Grand Am, a motor vehicle with respect to which security is required. Operate that vehicle upon South 8 Mile Road, a public highway in the state of Michigan, without having in full force and effect security complying with the above cited statute. It's a misdemeanor punishable by not more than a year in jail. Fine of not less than $200 nor more than $500. Count two is operating with no license, multiple licenses. Did drive a motor vehicle upon South 8 Mile Road, a highway in this state, without a valid operator's license or a valid chauffeur's license and the appropriate endorsement for the type or class of vehicle being driven or towed. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $100 fine. All right, now there is an offer in this file, Ms. Bowman. Is that going to change based upon the second file?
No, Your Honor, because as long as he has proof of, valid insurance and the same with his license, we'll have an offer in that file as well, so.
Okay, so Mr. Marsloft, in this particular file, and what the offer from the prosecutor's office, if you have insurance on the vehicle, if you were to plead responsible to a civil infraction, and have your valid driver's license, you would have another civil infraction. So you would have a civil infraction of no proof of insurance. What would the civil infraction be if he has his license, Ms. Bowman?
I'm not sure because it wasn't put in the notes. I know in the other case, they were offering a 0-point offense civil infraction for no ops on the person, I believe.
Okay, so would it be the same, no ops on person? Do you
Yes.
have the MCL for the no ops on person for the?
I don't, but I can try and look it up.
Okay, it's a civil infraction?
I'm not sure. Let me look real quick. So it sounds like that what was intended would be the defective equipment because he had a cracked windshield.
Okay, so it would be, if he has proof of insurance and a valid license, it would be no proof of insurance and defective equipment?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Marsloft, in that particular file, do you currently have, do you have valid insurance and a valid operator's license?
On the white Kia instance, yes. On the black Grand Am Pontiac, I do not. We just got done buying insurance for the white Kia.
Right now, we're dealing with the Pontiac. We're dealing with the Pontiac Grand Am. Okay,
Yes,
so
I do
you're
not.
okay. Is that something you're working on?
Yes, sir. I just currently swapped jobs so I can help pay off all these sort of bills that I got going on now.
Okay. Do you have a valid driver's license?
That I don't. I'm still trying to schedule on a date to go and get my license.
Okay. What we could do is enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. You understand what the offer is. Because what you're being charged with is 2 misdemeanors.
Okay.
What the prosecutor's office is offering is if you get insurance and a driver's license, they would dismiss the misdemeanors. It would just be civil infractions. Okay.
Okay.
There would be no misdemeanors on your record. So I'm going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. I'm going to set a pretrial for you on August 10th at 8:15 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. As far as your bond, it'll be a $500 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond.
Understood.
Now we're going to look at file 21-0836. Okay, and this one looks like this occurred on or about the 23rd of May. This would have been on M20. Count 1 is motor vehicle operation without security. Did being the owner of a Kia Rios, a motor vehicle with respect to which security is required, operate that vehicle upon West Isabella Road, a public highway in the state of Michigan, with knowledge that the owner or registrant did not have in full force and effect security complying with the above stated statute. It's a misdemeanor punishable by not more than a year in jail, a fine of not less than $200 nor more than $500. Count 2 is operating with no license, multiple licenses. Did driving a motor vehicle upon West Isabella Road, a highway in this state, without a valid operator's license or a valid chauffeur's license and the appropriate endorsement for the type of class vehicle being driven or towed. It is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $100 fine. Currently in this one, no offer at arraignment, so I'm assuming these would be packaged together, Ms. Baumann. Is that correct?
It doesn't say that, but I'm assuming too, because it looks like it's pretty similar in the plea or the offer. What I have here is if he can get his car insured again and begin a process on getting his license, then we'll offer the citation for no proof of insurance. And for this case, it says 0-point offense for no ops on person, which is a misdemeanor.
Okay. So, Mr. Marsloff, you have some good offers from the prosecutor's office, so the work is on you. Okay.
Understood.
We're going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf on this file as well. We'll set this matter for a pretrial. It'll be the same pretrial date. It'll be August 10th at 8:15 a.m. Okay. What you have an offer for is no proof of insurance on both cars, so 2 civil infractions rather than a misdemeanor.
Okay.
You have another civil infraction of defective equipment rather than a no ops, driving without a driver's license. And then you have an offer in this file of a no point misdemeanor. So you would have out of 4 misdemeanor charges, you'd have 1 remaining if you get your driver's license and have proof of insurance for both vehicles. So
And
the
this
courts
is
can
before
enter.
August 10th?
I'm sorry?
Is this before August 10th that I have to have all this acquired?
Well, all of it acquired or as much as you can and show proof that you're working on it. Okay.
Understood.
And then the discussion can happen at that time. So a not guilty plea will be entered on your behalf in this file. There will be a $500 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You are not to leave the state without permission of the court while you're on bond. You understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
All right, then, Mr. Marsloff, you are free to leave the Zoom room this morning. We'll see
All
you
right.
back here on the 10th of August, 8:15 a.m. for your pretrial.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now, Mr. Branson and Ms. Baumann, that is all the folks who have shown up for our Zoom arraignments. We do have 4 people showing up this morning, hopefully for in-person arraignments. For the, I'll just go through, we don't have very many, but for you, Ms. Baumann, people that I have who didn't show up for the Zoom are Robert Burlingame,
Yep.
William Cox, and Sally Decatur.
Yes. Do you have Dean Kaufman? I think it's Kaufman. Is he Dean Kaufman and Shannon Smith are also on my list.
Shannon Smith, I don't have. And what's the other name?
Dean Kaufman, Kaufman.
I don't have that one either.
Okay, so maybe there were different dates.
Those might got reset.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Branson, for you, I have Catherine Schneider, 2 separate files.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so what we'll do for those, I'll take a look and if we'll issue bench warrants if they've been properly served. So now we can move on to the folks that we have here in person. So, and for that, I have for you, Mr. Branson, I have Mark Cap and Serena Davison.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Baumann, I have Logan Iltz and Demetrius Wicker.
You spell the Wiffer, his last name.
Wicker.
Thank you.
Okay. So
Your
what
Honor?
we do is, yes.
There's three of them out there. Mark Cap has not appeared. They all talked to Steve. They're all sitting in the lobby. I told them once the courtroom doors open, we'll let them in. If you want to know the order, Logan was first, then Serena, and then Demetrius.
Okay, let's see, Logan, Serena, and Demetrius. So far, no Mr. Cap, Mr. Branson, but we will issue a bench warrant for him as well.
And I also made, oh, sorry, Jim.
Oh, that's all right, Mark. Go ahead.
And I also made you host, okay?
Oh, okay, very good, thank you.
I have a note on Mr. Cap. Let me find that. He had called my office and was wondering what to do about the bench warrant. On June 10th at 2:10, Mr. Cap contacted me. My instructions to him were get a hold of the court immediately to address the bench warrant issue and get a court date. So the date that is set today, I assume, was by him or by the court, and he certainly knows to be here, and we have not heard from him this morning.
Okay, all right. Very good. Well, we will get to work on that. Oh, Barb or Deb, are you still able to, do you have the power to change hosts?
Oh.
Because what we'll have to do at the end, we'll just turn it off because I'm actually 75th District Court, not Midland Magistrate. So the Midland Magistrate, I don't have the ability to control things. So I don't know if Deb can switch Midland Magistrate.
Teresa and I went back and forth on that too, going, which one? And we picked the wrong one.
So, okay. Well, I'm going to go let these folks in and we'll get started.
And I'll go help Deb.
All right, everyone that's here for arraignment, come on in the courtroom, please. If you're here for arraignment, please come on in the courtroom. All right, who's Logan? Logan, why don't you come up and have a seat in the seat closest to the rail there, the one right in front of you. Nope, closest to the rail. There you go. Okay, and are you Logan? How do you pronounce your last name?
Isles.
Isles?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you hear Logan?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I'm just going to ask you to speak up when we talk because you have to be heard by that microphone up there. See where the green circle is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you have to speak a little bit louder than that. All right, so let me pull up your file, Mr. Isles. Okay, this is file 21-0610. Council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Baumann on behalf of the people.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Isles, did you have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Housefield today, defense attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And are you prepared to proceed with this arraignment today? Okay. Give me just a moment. I will pull up that file. No, okay, that's fine. We'll just turn it off when we're done. We'll shut the whole thing off. Hopefully that'll work. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, so Mr. Isles, looks like this, what you're being arraigned on today took place on March 28th of this year, would have been on North Lake Sanford Road. Count one is operating with no license, multiple licenses. Did drive a motor vehicle upon North Lake Sanford Road, a highway in the state without a valid operator's license or a valid chauffeur's license, and the appropriate endorsement for the type or class of vehicle being driven or towed. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail, $100 fine, as well as court costs. And it looks like the offer for Mr. Isles, Ms. Baumann, is if he were to plead guilty to no ops on person, the no valid ops charge would be dismissed.
That is correct, Your Honor, but we are still currently waiting to hear if we have restitution or not for a driveway post, so we'll have to put this out.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Isles, what's going on today? You were charged with driving without a valid operator's license, okay? The prosecutor has an offer in this file today of a non-abstractable offense, no operator's license on person, okay? But apparently there was a crash involved as well. So they have to find out if there's any restitution. So if you owe any money to somebody for the damage to this post, okay? So what the court's gonna do today is enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. You plan on hiring an attorney to represent you for a pretrial, or are you gonna keep representing yourself?
I'll keep representing myself.
All right, your pretrial then will be on August 10th at 8:15 a.m. All right. As far as bond, it'll be a $100 personal recognizance bond. No other crimes while you're on bond. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So if you just go through that door there, go across the way to where you checked in, they'll give you the notice for your pretrial on the 10th of August, and we'll see you at 8:15 a.m. Okay, thank you. Okay, then next I have Serena Davison. Serena, if you could have a seat in the same spot. All right, and Ms. Davison, did you have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Housefield, Defense Counsel, this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And are you prepared to proceed with the arraignment today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so this is file 21-0604. Council appearance for the record, please.
James Branson on behalf of City of Midland.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. All right, let me just take a look here. What's going on? All right, it does look as though a bench warrant was issued. Did you post a bond on your bench warrant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. What we're going to do, since you are here today and you did post a bond on the bench warrant, we're going to dismiss the bench warrant and proceed on the original charge. Okay? So let's take a look and see what that original charge is. Okay, looks like this took place on or about the 8th of May. Would have been here in the city of Midland. Count one is driving without a license, no operator's license. Did operate a motor vehicle in the city of Midland without possessing a valid operator's license as required. Now that is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail, $100 fine and court costs. Now, Mr. Branson, is there anything you wish to address as far as this charge here today?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm curious if Ms. Davison has a current and valid license. At the time we ran her abstract, it showed it was canceled. And at this point, I'm not sure what her status is.
All right. So do you have you straightened out your driver's license?
No, it's been hard getting into Secretary of State.
Okay. So you're still working on it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. What we could do is we could enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. You do have the ability Secretary of State is where your issue is. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My understanding is if you go online at 2 specific times of day, all right, you have to go online at those specific times. It's 8 a.m. and noon. Okay, so you go on at 8 a.m. or noon, you can actually get a same day appointment. Okay, but you have to go on, can't be 9, can't be 10, has to be 8 or 12. Okay, go on, then you can get a same day appointment. And so you can, what we'll do today, we can enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. We can set this matter for a pretrial on August 5th at 8:40. Okay. And hopefully you'll have, by that time, have things straightened out with Secretary of State. You have a valid license and we'll have something to talk about at that time. Okay.
Okay.
So it'll be a not guilty plea. It's going to be a bond will be $100. I'm sorry, you posted bond. So that bond will be continued. Just no other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of court while you're on bond. Okay. So you understand all of that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So we'll see you back here on the 5th of August, 8:40 a.m. All right. And I'm assuming we collected all of your information on how to find you.
Mhm.
All right. Because we'll do that via Zoom. So you don't have to come all the way up here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So just make sure you appear via Zoom.
Of course.
Otherwise, you'll have to drive back up here again.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we'll see you on the 5th of August.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. Mr. Branson, I believe other than bench warrants, those are all your files today. So if you wish, you can go about your day. And as I said, we will address those other files for you and issue bench warrants if necessary.
I appreciate that, Your Honor, for the 8:15 call, bench warrants, and I have no comments on those. I do have a comment on the 10:30 call for Mr. Mark Cap. We were going to offer civil infractions as we do for non-certified rentals that have been made into compliance. He's charged with a misdemeanor. The civil infractions would have amounted to $2,800. We would ask the court to consider that as a cash bond amount should a bench warrant be issued.
I appreciate that input, Mr. Branson. We will take that into consideration when we address that file. Thank you.
You would, Your Honor. Thank you very much, and I'll be leaving the Zoom room, and thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Branson.
See you all.
All right. Thank you. All right. So Demetrius Wicker, come on up, have a seat in the same spot. All right. Those aren't the easiest chairs to move around. All right. Now, Mr. Wicker, did you have an opportunity to speak to Mr. Housefield, defense counsel this morning?
Lawyer, yeah, and I told him I'm basically plead not guilty because I.
Okay, yep, we'll talk about it. Yep, we'll talk about it. Just we'll just one step at a time. Okay, so you did talk to him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. All right. Very good. And looks like you posted bond on the bench warrant for missing court the last time we were supposed to be here.
Yes.
Via Zoom.
What last time I was supposed to be here, they didn't send me no court date.
Okay. All right.
That's what I would have came to see. I'm here now. I would have came. I just didn't know I was supposed to come.
Well, that's why what we're going to do today, since you have appeared in person, we'll dismiss the bench warrant and we're going to address the original charge. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to read the original.
So I had a bench warrant right now?
No, you posted bond.
Okay.
You posted bond on it, but we're not going to address the contempt charge. I'm going to dismiss it because you're here. Okay. So we're going to talk about the original charge. So I just have to get back to that. All right, here we go. All right. And I'm sorry, file 21-0433, council appearance for the record, please.
Sarah Bauman on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Ms. Bauman. All right, so Mr. Wicker, looks like what we're here for occurred on February 19th of this year. Would have been on Isabella Street here in Midland County. Count 1 is operating a license suspended, revoked, or denied. Did operate a motor vehicle upon Isabella Street, a highway, while his operator's license was suspended or revoked. It's a second or subsequent offense notice. Take notice, defendant was previously convicted of driving while license suspended on October 20th, 2009 in Saginaw County, January 31st, 2017 in Saginaw County, and July 25th, 2017 in Saginaw County. Therefore, upon conviction, the defendant may be subject to an enhanced sentence and vehicle immobilization. It's a misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail and a $1,000 fine. Now, all right. Looks like the offer, Ms. Baumann, is if you were to plead guilty to the driving while license suspended first offense, the people would dismiss the driving while license suspended second offense.
That's correct.
All right. So, Mr. Wicker, what the offer from the people is if you were to plead guilty today to a charge of driving while license suspended first offense, the charge of driving while license suspended second offense would be dismissed. So as to that driving while license suspended first offense today, did you wish to plead guilty, not guilty, or stand mute to that charge?
I was gonna plead not guilty to give me some time to think about it, because they're gonna think about it. I was trying to get my license back, and
Okay.
they talk about taking my license for a year.
Okay, well, you can then, and you absolutely can plead not guilty. So the court will enter a not guilty plea on your behalf today. This matter will be set for a pretrial. Okay. You plan on hiring an attorney, or are you going to continue to represent yourself?
I guess I'll represent myself.
Okay. I just have to pause for just a second. I ran out of dates for personal representation. So let me just have to call the judge's assistant really quick. Oh, she might already be off that much. Deb, can you check for me for a date if there's a date on the 17th of August available for a self-representation? Oh, here we go. All right. So what we will do for you, Mr. Wicker, we will enter a not guilty plea on your behalf today. This matter will be set for a pretrial on the 17th of August at 8:15 a.m.
Put it in my phone.
We'll give it to you before you leave. So it'll be 8:15 a.m. You posted a cash bond, so that cash bond will be continued. Just no other crimes while you're on bond. You're not to leave the state without permission of the court. If you go across the way, we will give you the date and information for your pretrial. It will be via Zoom, okay? So just make sure you show up via Zoom.
My next court that I can do off the Zoom.
You can do off the Zoom, and they're going to give you the information before you leave, okay? So just make sure that you show up so you don't have to come back up here, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, so otherwise you are good to go. Just go across the way, and we'll see you back here on the 17th of August at 8:15 a.m. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wicker.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Baumann.
Have a good day.
I think that is everyone that is here. As I told Mr. Branson, I'll address the bench warrants, and if they're all been served, we will make sure to issue bench warrants. If this is a second time, they'll go out immediately. If not, within 48 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye now.
All right, I'm leaving also, and I showed Deb how to stop the video and the recording and stuff, Jerry. Okay?
Super. I appreciate that. Okay, we only
Sorry
have.
about that.
Oh no, that's fine. Technology is a wonderful thing.
I'm leaving.
And, it's kind of confusing when my name's not actually on there. So, all right. Okay. Well, we have 6 people, I believe, that did not show up. So not a bad day. So we're going to go ahead and look at what's going on with those individuals. starting with Robert Burlingame. All right, here we go. All right, file 21-0674. All right, and this is Robert Burlingame. Mr. Burlingame was sent notice to appear via Zoom on June 23rd, today's date, at 8:15 a.m. Mr. Burlingame has failed to appear for arraignment. I don't see that he has failed to appear prior to this, so a bench warrant will be issued in this
Your
file.
Honor.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Just so the court's aware, we do have other files he's got bench warrants for.
Oh,
just so the
all
court's
right.
aware.
Well, then thank you. Well, that makes a difference. So I appreciate you jumping in. So Mr. Burlingame will have a bench warrant issued immediately for failing to appear for arraignment. Be a $2,500 10% on the bench warrant, and he must appear in person. All right, thank you for that. I appreciate that. The next we have is William Cox. Let's see here. It's file 21-0660. This is the first one here. Do we have any other warrants for Mr. Cox?
No, Your Honor.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So Mr. Cox was to be here on June 23rd at 8:15 a.m. and he has failed to appear. No other notices in this particular file. So bench warrant for failing to appear for arraignment, $2,500, 10% on the bench warrant. That should go out after 48 hours. Then I have Sally Decatur, file 21-0668. All right, this looks like the first one in this file. Do we have any other warrants that we're aware of for Ms. Decatur?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So for Ms. Decatur, there'll be a bench warrant issued for failing to appear for arraignment. $2,500, 10% on the bench warrant. That should go out after 48 hours. All right, then the last two Zoom arraignments are Catherine Schneider, file 21-0672. We'll take that one first. And she was sent a notice a month ago to be here via Zoom today, June 23rd at 8:15 a.m. And she has failed to appear. There'll be a bench warrant issued for failing to appear for arraignment, $2,500, 10% on the bench warrant. And since she has two files, we're just going to send these out right away today. Because then we have file 21-0693. Which she also had notice to appear today, and she has failed to appear. So there will be a bench warrant issued for failing to appear for arraignment, $2,500, 10% on the bench warrant. And that can go out today as well for failing to appear for arraignment. The last one I have is our in-person arraignment for Mark Cap, file 21-0405. Mr. Cap was to appear here today. Looks like he didn't appear prior to today. for the purpose of arraignment or purpose of a show cause on an arraignment. He's failed to appear for arraignment via Zoom on April 28th of 2021. And he has now failed to appear today, and he had notice to appear for a show cause for failing to appear on the bench warrant. So there'll be a bench warrant issued for failing to appear for the show cause today. It will be a bond of $2,800 cash surety on this particular file. And I believe that.
I'm sorry, he already has a bench warrant, so we'll just keep it out.
Okay.
Sorry
then
about
let's,
that.
no, that's okay. If he already has the bench warrant and it's not been recalled.
Yeah.
But I'm going to amend the bond on the bench warrant. I'd like to make it a $2,800 cash surety bond.
2,800, okay,
Cash surety, yes.
thank you.
All right, thank you. I think that is all. So I am going to leave the Zoom room and I'm going to let you shut it down. I'll give it a shot.